Hi, Ben here from Trident Fly Fishing, and today we're going to be talking about how to choose the absolute best rod for bonefish. So whether this is your first flats trip or your 100th, you're going to want to stay tuned. Before we dive into these rods, I wanted to take a moment to tell you about Trident Travel. Trident Travel is our all-new destination travel service, and we've designed it to give you the best possible trip every single time. And of course, you'll never pay more than going directly through the lodge. And we never charge booking fees or credit card fees. So if you want your next trip to be the best trip, give us a call at Trident Travel. It's really important to understand the key factors that are going to lead to your catching more bonefish. And the number one factor is accuracy. Steve Huff calls bonefish an honest fish. And that's because if you make a great cast, they're probably going to eat your fly. And that's going to be opposed to, say, a permit that might sniff your fly a dozen times and still decide not to eat it. But a bonefish, if you get that fly in front of it just right, you're going to catch that fish 90% of the time in 90% of your destinations. So no matter which rod you choose and no matter which line weight you choose, you want to make sure that accuracy is your number one priority. It's just going to catch you more fish. But our second key factor for success is presentation. And you don't want to forget about presentation. And it's going to be especially important if you're fishing for tailing bonefish, or bonefish in really shallow water, or bonefish that are extra spooky because lots of other people have fished for them. And our third factor is going to be wind. Flats fishing occurs in harsh saltwater environments, and especially in the wintertime when most of us in North America are traveling down south to fish for bonefish, wind really starts to become a factor. So you need to be able to present your fly into the wind very accurately, and you'll catch lots and lots of bonefish. Now let's start talking about our rods. And my first piece of advice is don't get a 9-weight. If you spend enough time on the internet forums, you're going to find lots of advice from guys who have been on 1 or 2 saltwater trips that think the 9-weight is the do-it-all saltwater flats rod. And while that guy probably caught a bonefish in 1989 on his 9-weight, it is not the best tool. When it comes to the 9-weight, the bottom line is they're just not as fun, and we fish to have fun. The 9-weight is going to be too heavy, and bonefish just don't put up enough of a fight to put a serious bend in that rod. So if you're thinking about getting the one rod does it all rod, get an 8-weight, not a 9-weight. But we're here to talk about which rod is going to be the absolute best for bonefish. And I'm going to make a slightly controversial choice here and say that that is the 9-foot 6-weight. Now some people might say, oh, a 6-weight, that's way too light for bonefish. But the reality is the 6-weight gives you the absolute best presentation. And most bone fishing is going to be done with a fly that is this big. And this size 8 gotcha is probably lighter than a big dry fly. Definitely something you can cast on a 6-weight and probably into even a moderate wind. But what about the fight? Can you fight a bonefish on a 6-weight? The answer is yes. Even larger bonefish run really hard, but they make that first, maybe second run, and that's about it. And you're going to fight that fish almost entirely on the reel. So 6-weight, especially a saltwater 6-weight, is going to be more than adequate to fight even those slightly larger Bahamas-sized bonefish. So going back to our key factors for success, as long as you can present this fly accurately with that 6-weight, it's going to be your number one choice. Now, you might be asking, why doesn't everybody fish with a 6-weight for bonefish? Well, the answer to that, by and large, is going to be wind. Because if that wind gets up past 15 miles an hour or so, which it definitely can, you're probably going to want something that's a little bit heavier. And that brings me to the rod that probably you were thinking I was gonna say first, and the one that you've probably already bought if you're watching this video, the 8-weight. The 8-weight is the most versatile rod perhaps in existence. As long as you pick the right line, you can catch tons and tons of different species on an 8-weight. For bonefish, you're gonna wanna pick an 8-weight that's on the softer side, especially if you're wading. Something like an Orvis H3F, a Scott Sector, or this TNT Sextant here. Pair that with a line that's presentation oriented. While you're gonna get nowhere close to that 6-weight in terms of presentation, you're gonna be doing okay. And again, it's all about being able to deliver that fly in that heavy wind to that fish. The other benefit to the 8-weight, like we said, is versatility. And if you're going to say Belize, you can use your 8-weight for permit. Last but not least is the in-between rod, which is the 7-weight. The 7-weight is gonna kind of blend a little bit of the factors of the 6-weight and the 8-weight. And if you're a guy that likes to have absolutely every rod and really dial it in, there's definitely a place for it. However, I find that a slightly better double haul on the 6-weight is gonna be more than enough to cover that gap. And last but not least, one additional factor you'll want to consider is whether or not you're going to be wading or fishing from a boat. Boat fishing entails a longer cast, and you're just going to want a faster rod and perhaps to go up a line weight. Wade fishing, you're going to be much, much closer to the fish, and presentation and a shorter, softer cast is going to be more important than getting that extra distance. Let me know what your favorite bonefish rod is by leaving a comment in the box below. And we've got a whole series of videos coming out on exactly how to choose the right tackle for your next flats trip. So you're definitely going to want to subscribe to our channel and make sure you click the bell so you get all of our notifications. If you have questions about exactly which rod and which brand to choose, give us a call at 888-413-5211 or email us 24/7 at support@tridentflyfishing.com. I'm Ben. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.